Beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises! It just had to be. Dax corner and it goes. Glance towards goal! And Rovers have taken the lead! And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season.
Hello, Rovers fans, and welcome back to another edition of On the Other Side with me, Ryan Hildred from Rovers Chat. And it's been far too long since I've done On the Other Side. In that time, Rovers have beaten Cardiff, we've lost to Blackpool, and we drew last time at home to Coventry City. But back to action really quickly, back to action on the other side as we make the trip to the Kiyan Prince Foundation Stadium to face QPR. And back on the show tonight to give us the lowdown on QPR is the good friend from the show, Charlie from Talking Rangers. How you doing, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm not too bad myself, but I can't tell you how delighted I am to sit here and talk about QPR after the absolute tragic and abysmal performance on Saturday. I have to dust myself off and look at myself in the mirror and try and pull myself together before we talk about QPR again. But yeah, these games just come thick and fast, and we just got to get back on the horse. It's it was a tough one taking the weekend, but I'm going to try and talk about that as at least possible.
Well, I feel your pain because we lost 4-1 to Preston a couple of seasons ago, and it's also the day that my previous Ford Fiesta literally died. That car did not leave Preston ever again. So I feel your pain with a 4-1 defeat in a local derby. So don't worry about that one. Rovers fans watching, please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you aren't already. Please hit that bell symbol to turn on all notifications, and please give this video a big like for us. Super chats available as it always is, and a big thank you to our sponsors Blue Rose Capital and 6yardsout.com for their very, very kind sponsorship this season. So Charlie, let's make a start on the preview then. So as much as you don't want to talk about QPR, for me, all the signs are pointing to QPR being a really good championship side now. So you've had a couple of good transfer windows of recruitment, a manager that's got you playing in the way that he wants you to, and a pretty solid start to the season. You're many people's picks for the playoffs this season, and actually some describing you as a dark horse for promotion. So how are Rangers fans viewing everything?
I mean, it was a fantastic start straight off the bat. I think we kind of saw it come in, and as you rightly pointed out, the fact that people had us down as dark horses for sort of how well we did in the latter stage of the last season in 2021. I think we're still maybe the top ranked championship side. And there was a lot of optimism. We did really well in the transfer window. We recruited really cleverly, held on to the sort of the key players that we had on loan last season, and retained those, but then built upon in other crucial positions that were kind of lacking depth. So. A fantastic start. I think it was the first 6 or 7 went unbeaten, and it was looking really positive, and it still is looking positive. I'm trying to take out the sort of the bias I've got from Saturday, but it's been a bit up and down. We had back-to-back defeats, and we bounced back, but then back-to-back victories, and then of course Saturday. But the thing is with QPR at the moment, like you mentioned, we've got a fantastic squad. We've got some really good players excelling at this level, but just defensively, it's a bit of a mind boggler because we've got some fantastic defenders. Like our back five is pretty solid, especially our 3 centre halves. So I think they're all fantastic players, but so many silly mistakes at the moment, and it's why we've conceded so many goals, we've scored so many, but it's it's just proving a bit of a roller coaster. Every game we keep out of them is just absolute carnage.
I was looking into, I just want to break down the 3 things that I said first and foremost. So transfer windows, the manager, and the solid start to the season. So if we start with the manager, I just want to break these down a little bit. So Warburton's been in charge for 2 years now. He took over in May 2019. And I found a couple of quotes from your website, actually, what Warburton said when he took over. So I'll just read these out. So the first one is, when I spoke to QPR, they were very clear. They have a solid plan. They know what they want. And they have a long-term outlook, and that appealed to me immediately. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, I like players being brave in possession, understanding the first thought is to play forward and be positive. So let's bring in 2 things then. Firstly, on that first one, the long-term outlook, you've got the most points and wins in the calendar year in the championship. So that, for me, is long-term building. And football wise, with what he said about possession and attacking, you're the second highest goal scorers in the division with 23 goals, fourth overall for shots per game, fifth overall for possession, and fourth overall for passing accuracy. So on paper, it looks like he's achieved everything that he set out to do when he took you over. So, how are Rangers fans viewing the job that Warburton's done so far?
I mean, when you look at it at the point now, like you say, the calendar year of 2021 has been fantastic for QPR. And like you say, it has been this building project. And, of course, with all managerial spells, there's been some down spells. And there was a point where a lot of QPR fans went out the door just before that sort of uprise coming into 2021. But the sort of the long-term project that's been building, I think, kind of been bubbling away, and the sort of the transfers that have been made in sort of this building process that we've lost big players along the way. But it's how well he's recruited and sort of the culture that he's installed. And just touching upon that second statement that you came on to, how, he's going out there and he wants the players to play forward and have that confidence. And that is how we've seen Ilias Chair and Chris Willock, who I'm a massive fan of, big advocate of the pair. And that's why they've done so well this season, because he's given them that platform. He's given them that confidence and that self-belief where they're allowed to go out there and do exactly and play their type of football. They're two players that love to have the ball at their feet, get at players, create chances and score goals. So I think Mark Warburton is held in a very high regard at QPR. He's pulled the club out of a real transitional state and he's taken us right onto an upward trajectory, and it's looking good for QPR this year.
Yeah, it is. And you touched on recruitment, which on the face of it has been excellent. Charlie Austin, Stephen Johansson, Andre Gray, Sam McCallum, all great signings at championship level. So, has he largely got it right? Is everything he touched turned to gold in that sense, both in and out? Or, are there a couple that might not have gone your way?
Yeah, of course, there's a couple. I mean, to be honest, in sort of the high influx and outflux of players, there's only really been maybe a couple. I think you could maybe laugh off the Todd Kane. That was a transfer that didn't really work out for QPR. The less I say, probably the better. But no, I think even some of the ones that have taken a bit of time to sort of flourish, you could talk about Lyndon Dykes and Macaulay Bonne in that sort of bracket. You now look at Lyndon Dykes. He took a while to find his feet at this level, and now he's flourishing. And he could be going on to do a bit of better things because he's done it on the international stage as well. He's in mad form for QPR at the moment. And as well, Macaulay Bonne, a £2 million investment that a lot of QPR fans are pretty mortified by. But now I'm pretty sure we'll get that back, if not more, because of how well he's doing that at Ipswich. So even, like I say, even the ones that maybe didn't look like they were quite right are now starting to flourish themselves. So no, I think the recruitment it's been fantastic. You look at sort of the money we've spent and the caliber of players, I think it's been spot on. And that's why but it's not only just been the type of players, it's sort of the culture and the balance of in the squad and the characters. It's not just been, Charlie Austin, he's been and done it. Yeah, Johansson, he's a good player, we'll have him. It's all been very calculated. And Warburton, he's very good in that sort of business perspective. And, there's just a lot of thought that's gone into it. And you can see now, what's kind of been constructed and what sort of output we're getting from that. I can't say a bad word about Mark Warburton at the moment.
Yeah, and I think the calculated word that you use there, that's certainly how it appears to me, as an outsider looking in. It certainly feels like that, QPR have just really built towards this. You're really solid and sustainable. And I think that's why a lot of people have backed you this season, in a division of chaos, for which Rovers are one of those, with the amount of players we've got out of contract and stuff and the ownership that we have. You're taking advantage of that situation. So, that's absolutely how it looks looking inside. So if we move on to the start of the season so far, Charlie, fairly solid. You're in 8th place with 18 points. That's 5 wins, 3 draws and 4 defeats. That's 1 place and 1 point above Rovers. Are you happy with the start to the season so far?
Yeah, I think as long as you're thereabouts throughout the season, you're kind of averaging, trying to get as close to 2 points a game as much as possible. Yeah. And we know this league, I think that sort of Bournemouth, Fulham and West Brom are always going to kind of be thereabouts, but it's those spots below. There's probably about 10 teams that could get into that top six. And sometimes you get carried away game by game, but this league, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's everyone's going to have their bad spell. It's how bad your bad spell is and how quickly you get out of your bad spell. So it's about the longevity, and I think I'm happy with the start. In terms of the defeats we've had, we've lost to those top 3 sides in the league that I just mentioned. We lost to Bournemouth, we lost to West Brom, and we lost to Fulham. All 3 of those away from home, and probably bar the Fulham one. the West Brom and the Bournemouth one, we could definitely have got some. I think the Bournemouth one we should have won, in fairness. And then we did lose to Bristol City as well. Another one I don't want to talk about because we had about 23 shots that game. Somehow I didn't win the game. I have no idea. It epitomised the Championship, a smash and grab. But yeah, it's kind of been... I've been saying this, at no point this season we've been outplayed. I can't say that anymore because against Fulham on Saturday, that one went out the window. But, for most of the games, bar the last one, we've been in it from the start to finish. And but it's a problem defensively. It's just, we just leak a ridiculous amount of goals, which I feel like I've been saying for QPR for many years now. Probably, I think last time we came on this channel, I think I was still saying the same thing. But we score a lot and we concede a lot, and that's just QPR.
Yeah, and it was Rovers at times last season, to be fair, and we had a lot more possession last season as well. And just to illustrate the point, Rovers fans, on goals conceded for QPR, third worst in the division this season. So only Cardiff and Peterborough have conceded more than QPR. But as I say, QPR have scored the second most. So it's entertaining. There's lots of goals.
I'll tell you that, yeah. It's we've got basically every game we've just got to score 3 goals to win. That's sort of how it's going for QPR at the moment.
Love it. And at home, you've mirrored Rovers. So we've both got 11 points at home this season, 3 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat in the 6 games that you've had. So that suggests that you're going to be a tough team to beat tomorrow for Rovers. We're going to have to do well to beat you. So how have the games been at home? You mentioned the Bristol City one, which was a blip. Sounded like you dominated, and sometimes that just happens. But, what has the home form been like?
I can't remember the exact stats now, but I think it took us a couple games at the start. We got a couple of away victories, and it kind of took us a little bit of time to get us going. And as well, in the midst of that, we had the Everton victory at home. So we've been a strong side at home. But things with QPR, it's quite strange because for long years now, my very long years of supporting QPR, it's always been Loftus Road has always been where we get our points. And if we get the odd point on the road, it's always been a bonus. But with Mark Warburton, he's kind of been quite neutral between the two. We've kind of been we've been quite a good side on the road and fairly good at home. It's not been one or the other, which has kind of been quite a bit of a juxtaposition in terms of, like I mentioned, QPR in previous years. So no, I think we've been a good side at home, but I also think we're quite good on the road as well, which is enjoyable for any fan.
Definitely, and that's what we had last season. We're having less possession this season, but last season I vividly remember just actually, even though we weren't winning some of the games, actually having possession of the ball and creating chances away from home was a nice change from what I've seen with Rovers. So yeah, I totally get that. And player-wise, Charlie, Lyndon Dykes leads the way with 5 goals and 2 assists. But the other thing I've noticed is the spread of goals around your team. And that's something that Rovers do struggle with. We've got, obviously, Brereton Diaz, who's top goal scorer at the moment, but we don't have the same spread. You've got Ilias Chair on 4 goals. You've got Chris Willock with 2 goals and 3 assists. Then you've got a few on 2 goals and defenders chipping in as well. So who stood out for Rangers so far this season, attacking or defending-wise?
Yeah, as you quite rightly mentioned, it has been enjoyable because sometimes you have that over reliance. I think that's probably what you guys are touching on with Mr. Diaz, and he's been fantastic on his 10 goals. But like QPR haven't got that 10 goal. Someone near that mark at the moment. Like you said, it's spread very evenly, and it's always good to see defenders chipping in as well. So that's always enjoyable. And touch upon defenders, I think one man that stood out across the whole of the Championship is Rob Dickie. He's a fantastic centre half at this level. Bags of ability on the ball, but also his defensive capabilities are second to none. So he's been someone really enjoyed watching. But not only that, his sort of progression. In a short sort of time at QPR, he was fantastic in League One with Oxford. And, it took him a couple of games to find his feet at this level, but now he's excelling and he's just getting better and better. And just touch on as well, Ilias Chair and Chris Willock, they're sort of, it's a fantastic partnership. It's very strange for a side to play with 2 number 10s, but the way they play together, the sort of the wavelength and how interlinked they are is just phenomenal. Their movement is so intertwined. And they have such a fantastic relationship off the pitch that's allow them to blossom on the pitch. And, they're 2 players that can do big things in this league. I think Chris Willock has really excelled. He's someone that's got better game by game. And I'd not be surprised if he can pull it off and do sort of a similar standard performances week in, week out in the Premier League. And, touch on Lyndon Dykes as well. He's someone who's in a very rich reign of form. It's, the squad, there's not really been as of course I mentioned 3 players there that have been fantastic, but the squad performance has been really well. It's, like I sort of mentioned upon, it's not too much over reliance on a couple of individuals. It's been quite a good cohesive unit, all sort of pulling together in the right direction.
No, and that bodes well when you have got that complete squad effort. And as I say, it was that spread that I just definitely noticed when I was just looking into your side a little bit. So, yeah, Rovers are going to have to watch out from all directions tomorrow, most certainly. So before we came live, Charlie, we asked you for a predicted 11, which I will flash up now. So I'll get you to talk about this in a moment, but you've got it in the wing-back formation that you've mentioned there. And you obviously mentioned Willock and Chair in the kind of 2 number 10 roles. So just talk us through this side, talk us through who's in form, who's not. You've obviously spoken about Willock, Chair and Dykes already, but just talk us through the side and what's going to hurt Rovers tomorrow.
Yeah, starting off, Sonny Dieng, he's been a fantastic player for QPR in the Championship. He's kind of he's been a bit of a, he struggled to find his feet in the last couple of games. I think he's come into a little bit out of form, which of course happens with all players, but at this level, he is a fantastic goalkeeper. He struggled maybe a little bit against West Brom, and I think his confidence is a little bit low, but hopefully he can kind of get back to, at least for our sake, get back to the heights he's putting in last season. But Mozo Jabajo, fantastic wing-back that came in from Sheffield Wednesday. He offers quite a lot going forward, maybe not the best defensively, but he adds more balance to the side in terms of his offensive capabilities. I mentioned Rob Dickey, and we're playing with this sort of 3 centre-halves and the 2 full-backs, Dickey, Device and Barbe. A very good defensive unit. Physically very strong, very dominative, and as well, all 3 can play with their feet. So they are a good back 3. And you got Sam McCallum, like as you mentioned, an exciting wing back. He's been very good. He's just returned from injury. You got Dominic Ball, who'd normally be partnered with Stefan Johansson, but he is out through suspension. I think that's 5 yellow cards he's picked up now. So I think young Andre Dazelle will come in. He's got a similar sort of style of play to Stefan Johansson. A nice left foot. He's very tidy. He's a sort of cute sort of player that can, a bit of a deep line playmaker, but can also go box to box. He'll kind of fill the void of Johansson. Then, as I mentioned, the fantastic duo of Chris Willock and Elias Chair that will cause you problems, at least I hope. And then Dykes, I'm predicting to lead the line. But again, at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Dykes sadly does drop to the bench because he has played a lot of football lately on the international stage as well. So that's how I see us to line up. And that's the team I think that you'll be coming up against.
Big bonus for Rovers, Stefan Johansson being away. He was a player linked with Rovers and obviously he signed for you. So hoping we can turn that into a positive. Having seen Rovers crumble in the second half against Coventry on Saturday, where Callum O'Hare just exploited all the spaces in midfield, we're going to have to be very careful tomorrow not to give Chair and Willock those types of spaces that we afforded Callum O'Hare, else we could be in a bit of trouble there. So imperative for Rovers. Hopefully on a smaller pitch, it'll be easier for us to do that. We can just compress the spaces a little bit, press that midfield, not allow those spaces to happen. But yeah, that's one that makes me anxious after just seeing what Callum O'Hare did. If there are any areas of weakness, Charlie, where can Rovers hurt you tomorrow?
It's almost, it's hard to sort of, but it's the lapses of confidence defensively at the moment. It's like a lot against a Fulham on Saturday. There were just players getting, the centre half just getting sucked out of position, and yeah, we just seem a bit leaky. It's really hard one to sort of explain and sort of communicate what this error is, because as I mentioned, I've a full confidence in the back 3. I think they're fantastic centre halves individually, but there's just something not quite right at the moment. I think Diaz will cause us problems, and sometimes we can get a little bit. Sometimes bit quite high pushed up the pitch, and sometimes you're a counter-attacking side that's going to look to exploit that. Sometimes the fullbacks can bomb on, and maybe Rob Dickey can end up going for a run past the halfway line, and we have seen it at points this season where we can be, as I mentioned, quite high up the pitch, and it may play into your hands at points in the game, or where we'll try and dominate the possession too high up the pitch, get caught, and as I mentioned, you've got players that can get in behind and cause problems.
I can see us matching up against you tomorrow. We matched Coventry up with their wing-backs. We played wing-backs on Saturday, and I can see us doing the same tomorrow, actually. I don't think it's a system that is necessarily our favoured system. 4-3-3 is the one that we want to play, but I do think Mowbray is going to be anxious about going away to your ground, with the form that you're in, the start that you've had to this season. I can see us matching it up as a little bit. And that, for me, just suggests it's going to be another important game for Joe Rothwell. Said it before the game on Saturday that, you know, without Diaz, because Diaz started on the bench on Saturday because he'd been away with Chile. So we're relying on Rothwell kind of getting up there and making things happen. I'll be interested to see if Brereton starts again, you know, because he came on against Coventry and I cannot believe I saw him. You know, he was playing at 1 a.m. on Friday morning in Chile and he was on Ewood Park at 4 p.m. on Saturday. So he's going to be knackered. So it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't start, but we'll see. So, yeah, hopefully, Rovers fans, we can exploit a bit of those defensive frailties that Charlie's outlined there. And certainly if Mr. Diaz has got something up his sleeve, or Tyrese Dolan or Joe Rothwell, you know, a few tricks or whatever just to exploit in behind, maybe that's the way to hurt QPR tomorrow. So we have reached a part of the show where, Charlie, I'm going to put you and I on the spot with our score predictions. Any Rovers or QPR fans watching, do let us have your prediction in the comments as well. And we will run through those before the end of the show. Just a quick one, though, Charlie. Someone here, Callie, is asking if you're at the game tomorrow.
See, I don't actually know yet. I'm at university at the moment, so not near London, but there's a chance I might be there. I've got to try and see if I can get back from lecture in time, but there's a chance, not affirmative, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, sadly, I'm not there tomorrow. I've been at most games this season, but London on a Tuesday night is the worst for me because driving's just not an option and trains are just, not possible. Yeah. So, I usually drive everywhere and, the train, I'm not paying those prices. So there we go. So, Charlie, going to start with your prediction. What are you thinking for the game tomorrow? How do you think it's going to go?
I'm going to be ambitious. I'm going to say 2-1. 2-1 QPR. I think you'll take the lead, and I think we will put it back. I think we'll get it. We'll get one just on the brink of the second half, and then we're going to get a late winner. That's my prediction.
Oh, don't say late winners. Just a couple of stats for Rovers and QPR fans. So before the two defeats that we've had, the two in the last 3 seasons, our record against you was actually pretty phenomenal. It was
I did see this, yeah.
1 defeat in like 15, 16 games or something daft like that. So, last season kind of bucked the trend a little bit. However, Dan and I, who run the site, Dan runs the site, we were looking at our record on a Tuesday night away from home. It's not great. It's really not great.
That's what I like to hear.
We just seem to just have these, whether it's Sky Sports red button or iFollow or whatever you're watching it on.
Such a curse, yeah.
We seem to just show ourselves up a little bit. So this is just a roundabout way of me saying that I don't think we'll win the game, but I can't bring myself to predict us to lose. So I'm going to say a 1-1 draw, which is optimistic, hoping I will take 1-1 right now. But I think it's going to be a very tough game for Rovers. I think QPR are a really solid and settled side. And I think you'll be looking at Rovers at home as one to kind of bounce back from that Fulham defeat. Yeah. That one's going to hurt a bit, isn't it? So we'll see. But prove me wrong, Rovers. Do prove me wrong. Obviously, Charlie and I and others who do content, we're there to be shot at with our stupid opinions. So don't prove me wrong, Rovers fans. We have got a few coming in predictions-wise. So Callie is going 1-1. I reckon a very cagey affair. Zach's gone 3-1 QPR. Lucas 2-1 Rovers. Think we will score late and will be a very tight and cagey game. But could go either way.
Yeah, I feel like it's a 2-1. I'm hoping it's QPR, but I'm not so sure.
And then Gilles, Charlie's prediction is probably right. I think 3-2 QPR, sadly. So yeah, some of the Rovers fans kind of on my way of thinking, apart from Lucas. I'll bring yours up again, Lucas. You do it, Lucas. Prove me wrong. So there we go. So that's it, Rovers fans. Just want to say thank you, Charlie, for joining us on this Monday evening and giving all that great insight on QPR as usual. And keep up the good work on your Talking Rangers channel.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming. Big fan of your stuff. Rovers fans, if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please give this video a big like and look out for the watch along tomorrow with Ollie Walker-Peel. And then we'll have the instant reaction video after that as well. And then after that, it will be all the match content ready for the Reading game on Saturday at home. We'll be back with On the Other Side and all of our usual match day stuff there. So have a good evening, Charlie. Have a good evening, Rovers fans. And we will leave you with our sponsor message from 6yardsout.com. See you later. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.